Welcome back to the End Zone. I'm your host, Brandon, and I'm joined by the boys, Tim and Paul. As always, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe, and let us know your top 5 for this position group. But with that being said, let's get started. In this show, we'll be breaking down the top 5 edge prospects in the upcoming NFL 2023 draft.
All right, at number 5, I got B.J. Ojolari out of LSU. At 6'2", 248 pounds. He's a little undersized to really put his hand in the dirt. I do see him has more of that designated pass rush kind of edge at the next level, but he's very good at that. I think on pass rushing plays, it looks like he really goes balls to the wall. I kind of wish that you could see that same effort in the running plays as well. But I think that, again, if you're looking for a solid pass rusher, this is a good starter for your team. I think he's probably going to go. A lot of people have him going day 2, but I could see him being a sleeper first-round pick in the later back half of the first round.
Yeah, definitely. LSU edge rusher, had a productive college career. You'd love to see the 5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. I agree. I think he is going to be a kind of a stand-up edge kind of guy, that wide 9-7 outside the tight end kind of position. Coming out, he's going to be the same kind of guy as his older brother, Aziz, for the New York Giants, who's had a pretty productive short career so far in the league. But I think, like I said, he definitely could squeak into that number one, that first overall round for one of those kind of the back end teams. If they, the Chiefs or the Eagles, when they do need another kind of bolster their edge rush there.
At number 4, got Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. 6'5", 275 pounds. He's kind of a tweener between that edge and really kind of D lineman. I think he could probably kick him into a 3 tech on pass plays. He plays really well, has a good motor. He's pretty flexible for his size. His teammates were giving him all sorts of nicknames, such as like Hercules. Very, very strong player. He's a good athlete. He's not a great athlete though. So I think that some of the best tackles will kind of realize that. I think that he's very raw, and I kind of like these tweener guys because, again, you can kick him inside. But I think that he's probably going to do a lot better as a 3 tech than as a 5 tech in the next level. But again, I think that he's got some raw pass rush moves that could be improved. I know he's got a good spin to him, a good spin move. And again, I think that he's decent in the run game. So we'll see how it goes from there. But I think he's going to be a solid day 1 lock.
Absolute physical presence out there. You love to see a defensive lineman, especially kind of that, like Tim mentioned, a tweener kind of guy with a 6-pack. It's pretty impressive. Did have a very productive season or very productive career at Iowa. We all know Iowa's the defense was kind of their main scorer as far as the offense because they couldn't put any points on offense. Had 46 total pressures at Iowa. Dude, definitely love to see that going against Big 10 offensive linemen who are known for putting out studs. I think this guy is going to do fantastic at the next level. I think he's kind of more like a George Karlaftis kind of guy. Like, he is listed as an edge, but I think he's a little big and maybe not as quick and twitched up to play that edge kind of position. But I think that 5 to 3 tech, I think that suits him very well.
And then number 3 got Nolan Smith out of Georgia at 6'2", about 240 pounds. This guy's an elite athlete. And it's funny because you think at that size, he's only going to be a good pass rusher. He's actually a much better, against the run than he is in his pass rushing moves. I think he does, he's, being an impressive athlete, he has the raw upside to be a good pass rusher. But I think that in Georgia, they really kind of push the scheme of, play the run first and then go after the quarterback. I think that, like you mentioned before, Paul, with I believe you were talking with, Trenton Simpson. I think this guy has the ability to play a little bit of that Micah Parsons kind of role as a pass rusher where you can line him up, right over the center and guard. You can even kick him on the outside. I mean, he's just a really good athlete. Again, kind of relies a little bit on his athleticism in the pass rush. But I think that, at the end of the day, man, if a team can really take a look at that athleticism and develop him a little bit more there, I think he's going to be elite.
No, definitely. I mean, he had a combine to remember, putting up, the defensive edge kind of guys were the first guys to run. And, he started off, blazing that 4.39 40. Very impressive, especially for his size. I think you're not necessarily drafting a very solid edge rusher, but like you mentioned, he's a pretty good just all around linebacker. if you kind of do play him at that outside, that 3 tech, maybe not as far as just as designated pass rusher, but you're also getting a quarterback. This guy was the team leader for his past 2 seasons. He was a play caller on the defensive side of the ball, and that's with all the other first round picks. He was kind of their motor kind of guy. As long as those injuries that was his big knock. As long as those can go in his favor, I think he's gonna have a great career in the next level.
Number 2, we got Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech at 6'6", 271 pounds. He's very similar to that Lucas Van Ness, where he could play a little bit of that tweener role between a 3 tech and the stand-up edge rusher or hand in the dirt edge. I think that at his size, though, he has elite length. I think he's 99th percentile on the length side of things, and he's very raw. He doesn't have the best get off. In fact, I think he's probably one of the slowest on the Texas Tech defensive line watching the games. But he is very, very elite as far as getting after the quarterback or getting after the ball carrier when the play is extended. He's very good against the run. Not the best in the class, but very good against the run. Again, I think that this guy's just a raw prospect, kind of similar to last year's Trevon Walker. I think teams are going to be just enamored with his size and his athleticism. And I mean, again, he did have production. I mean, in the past 2 years, he had 7 sacks each year. And he's also gotten after the ball carrier as well. So again, I think that he's going to be a top 10, potentially top 5, lock. And I could see him being, pretty disruptive as a 3 technique on the pass rushing downs and playing more on that wide 5 when it comes to just first and second down. But we'll see how it goes. Paul, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, he is an absolute kind of mystery to see. He is kind of that Trayvon Walker of this year. I've seen him slip down to 15. I see him, some rumors that people are going to take him at number 2 for the Texans. So only time to tell where he goes, but very productive year or a couple seasons at Texas Tech. I believe he did have more pressures overall than Will Anderson, playing less games even as well. Obviously, little different competition with Big 12 and the SEC. But at the end of the day, he is probably the best prospect as far as body type. The top guy and some other guys in the class, there's some kind of deficiencies, physically. This guy, I mean, biggest arms, tallest guy, big body. There's a little bit he can work on. He can definitely shore up his pass rush moves. Get him with a nice vet that teaches him up. I think coming up with the base, he is a good power rusher. Could use a little finesse moves, but I think that's a little easier to teach than that raw power. Obviously, weight room is something that takes a lot longer to teach than, the finesse and where to put the hands and all that stuff. So I think if you pair him up, get him with a good vet or bring in a guy, teach him up, mentor him a little bit, I think sky's the limit for this guy. I've seen him go as early as number 1 or 2. I don't know if he'll go quite that high. I think some other people we have on this list are a little better overall prospect and a safer guy, but I mean, upside is there with this guy for sure.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot. And then at number 1, I got Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama at 6'4", about 255 pounds. This guy is a solid edge rusher who could stand up and also put his hand in the dirt. This guy, I mean, in college, he was just a monster. I mean, especially that 2021 season, 31 tackles for loss, 17 and a half sacks, all in the SEC. I mean, dude, this guy is just a freak of nature. I think that, some teams are a little cautious with the size, but again, I think this guy, you look at his size, it's comparable to, DeMarcus Ware and, Von Miller. So I don't see why that's really a knock against him. The guy was just very productive in college. I think that if you put him on a team, he has potential to be very special at the next level. I think everyone knows that. But real quick, Paul, before you take it away, I just want to note we didn't put Miles Murphy on here. I know a lot of people are going to bring that up. Dude, Miles Murphy, in my opinion, was one of the most overhyped prospects going into this offseason. For playing, as a 5-star and with that elite size and that elite athleticism, I'd like to see some production. And I mean, dude, this guy just didn't show up, especially when you have Brian Bresee right there with you. I don't get it. So again, kicking it back to Will Anderson, elite player. I think he's probably going to go number 2 or number 3, depending on what the Texans decide to do and what the Cardinals decide to do. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Will Anderson Jr. is, I think, one of the safest. Definitely one of the pure blue chips, quote unquote, in this draft class. Um, numbers don't lie. His production on the field were fantastic. And it's not only the numbers on the field, he's just a great guy all around. Been seeing a lot of interviews with him. He kind of reminds me of that Najee Harris kind of guy. He gives back. He's humble. He's not, that kind of guy where you're going to get him on your team and you're going to worry about him off the field. Definitely don't see any of that issues with him. But going back to his production, I mean, 17 sacks one season, that is insane, especially in the SEC. I mean, also the 100 tackles from an edge kind of guy, that's unheard of. You really don't see that a whole lot, but I think he can excel at the next level, put his hand in the dirt, be a stand-up kind of guy. I mean, anything they want him to do, but like I said, I think he's the safest guy in the draft as far as defensive prospects. We'll see where he ends up going. It kind of depends on the Texans now.